A popular rap artist is behind bars after a shocking arrest, as authorities accuse him of being connected to an alleged murder for hire plot. Chicago rapper Durk Banks, better known by his stage name Lil Durk, was arrested yesterday after allegedly attempting to flee the country, and at this time he's being held in a Broward County jail in Florida, awaiting transfer to the U.S. Marshals. According to the FBI affidavit, the Grammy Award-winning rapper is charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire. His arrest comes on the same day as federal prosecutors announced in California the charges of 5 other men for the attempted murder of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo, whose real name is Taquan Bowman. Prosecutors say those 5 men all have ties to Chicago gangs and all targeted the Georgia rapper in retaliation for the murder of Chicago rapper King Von. According to prosecutors, all 5 men, who include Kevon London Grant, a.k.a. Vonnie, Asa Houston, a.k.a. Boogie, David Brian Lindsay, a.k.a. Brown Eyes, Keith Jones, a.k.a. Flocka, and DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, a.k.a. Didi. They all face charges including conspiracy to commit murder for hire, committing murder for hire involving death, and use of a machine gun in a violent crime resulting in death. And the most serious charge carries up to the death penalty if convicted. According to prosecutors, all 5 men have ties to Lil Durk's hip-hop group Only the Family.
I ain't gonna lie. These Chicago niggas, they getting called gang. These niggas just got caught with FBG Duck. Pre Rico. I ain't gonna lie. They gotta prove this shit though.
Also known as OTF. OTF was founded by Lil Durk more than a decade ago. And according to the FBI, OTF members engage in violence, including murder and assault, at the direction of Lil Durk.
I bet Lil Durk don't snitch though. I bet that.
King Von, whose real name was Davon Bennett, was also a part of OTF.
That's so cool. They still gotta prove it.
And was a longtime friend of Lil Durk. King Von was shot and killed in...
Youngboy just beat the feds. What is y'all saying? Nigga, Youngboy just beat the feds. He got 2 years on the gun charge. He got 4 years with time served. He just whooped the feds' ass. Someone snitched on Durk. They still gotta prove it. Like, somebody snitched on Queso. What the fuck? They still ain't proved shit. Queso daddy snitched on him. They still ain't proved shit. What the hell?
November of 2020 outside a nightclub in Atlanta. He was killed in the early morning hours of November 6th during an argument between 2 groups that escalated into gunfire. And he was fatally shot by Quando's associate Lil Tim after the argument. The indictment doesn't name Davon Bennett, aka King Von. Instead, the charging documents state a high-ranking OTF member described by the initials DB got into a physical altercation with someone referred to as TB, and the circumstances surrounding that incident mirror King Von's murder. The indictment says after DB's death, co-conspirator 1 made clear in coded language that
I ain't gonna lie, and then, how the fuck they gonna take the key from Durk? How you gonna take the key and he ain't been proven guilty yet, gang? I thought it was innocent till proven guilty. Damn. Nigga snatching the key already, gang? Come on, gang. They snatching the key from my nigga Durk already. My nigga had the key for 2 days. You done had the key for 2 days, gang. 2 days. Like, is you cool? That's crazy work. They took it already? My nigga had the key for 2 days.
they would pay a bounty or monetary reward to anyone who took part in killing TB for his role in DB's murder. That co-conspirator is allegedly Lil Durk, who authorities say made it known he would pay a bounty to anyone who killed Quando Rondo. According to
If they know that he was paying the bounty, then why is no amount being said?
In the court
They
documents,
only
the men
know.
used an OTF-associated credit card to buy plane tickets to L.A.
But
in
so
August
much.
of 2022 to search for TB, who is allegedly Quando Rondo, and using funds provided by Lil Durk. Durk allegedly texted an associate arranging the flight, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." And prosecutors claim when there, Kevon Grant booked a hotel room for the men to stay at and provided the others with firearms. Grant allegedly procured cars, ski masks, and firearms that were used to find, track, and kill TB. According to the FBI, there is video evidence that Durk was staying at the house in the San Fernando Valley that day. A lot of the stories that we cover here at Law and Crime are very tough to tell, but part of the reason we're able to keep bringing you these types of stories is because of our great sponsors. So I want to take a moment to thank Upside for sponsoring this story. If you're wondering what 25 promo code, Kevon Grant allegedly rented 2 cars, one of which had a fake license plate for the men to use and follow Rondo and his 24-year-old cousin. But when Rondo and his cousin stopped for gas, according to prosecutors, Asa Houston allegedly drove to a nearby alley before Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and a third unidentified man known in the indictment as co-conspirator to nearby alley before indictment. Kevon Grant.
These niggas ain't getting no fucks, gang. I know for sure they had to at least be getting like 150 for this top. For sure. Look at this shit. These niggas hopping in the fishy.
Allegedly rented 2 cars, one of which had a fake
Remember
license plate for the men to use and follow Rondo and his 24-year-old cousin. But when Rondo and his cousin stopped for gas, according to prosecutors, Asa Houston allegedly drove to a nearby alley before Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and a third unidentified man known in the indictment as co-conspirator 2 carried out the shooting, which was captured on surveillance video. Rondo wasn't injured. However, his cousin passed away after being fatally wounded. According to court documents, the 5 men and co-conspirators used facilities of interstate and foreign commerce.
They tapped that boy a pab in the head.
Cars, cell phones, and the internet with intent that the murder of
crazy
TB be committed. After the shooting, according to the indictment, the men went to a nearby burger spot to discuss payment. Then on the same day, the credit card was used to purchase tickets for Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, Asa Houston, DeAndre Wilson, and co-conspirator 2 to travel back to Chicago. Lil Durk wasn't named in the charging documents against Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. But according to the indictment, the defendants were offered money and lucrative music opportunities with OTF for the murder of Quando Rondo. Prior to Lil Durk's arrest, the Chicago rapper was being sued by the mother of Chicago drill rapper FBG Duck. FBG Duck was murdered in 2020. Opportunities with OTF, but according to the indictment, the defendants were offered money and lucrative music opportunities with OTF.
What? What the fuck?
Lucrative music opportunities with OTF, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. But according to the indictment, the defendants
was offered money and lucrative opportunities with OTF music. These niggas is already OTF. What the fuck? That's what I be talking about. Like, bruh, they only know but so much.
Opportunities with OTF for the murder of Quando, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. But according to the indictment, the defendants were offered money and lucrative music opportunities with OTF.
Lucrative music opportunities with OTF. What the nigga? What? These niggas was OTF. What the fuck? These niggas was already OTF. These niggas had lucrative opportunities from the jump. What the hell? Like, what the fuck?
For the murder of Quando Rondo. Prior to Lil Durk's arrest, the Chicago rapper was being sued by the mother of Chicago drill rapper FBG Duck. FBG Duck was murdered in 2020, and his death led to several convictions in a federal conspiracy trial last January. But his mother sued Lil Durk, OTF, and King Von's estate, alleging they were all involved in the shooting as well. According to the suit, OTF operates as a criminal enterprise. After Grant, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston were arrested Thursday, the FBI says Durk booked 2 flights from South Florida airports, one to Dubai and one to Switzerland. He then reportedly booked a flight to Italy, but was arrested in Miami before he could board that flight. Lil Durk and the other defendants are being...
OTF, gang, OTF twin post pictures of people station
held pending their transfer back to LA. I want to bring on now Detective Eric Barnes to break down this case even further. Eric,
Niggas
thank
can
you so
snitch
much
all
for
they
joining
want,
me
but they gotta
today.
be
You know,
able to
Lil Durk
prove.
is a really popular rapper, but what's your reaction to his arrest and his alleged connection to this murder for hire plot of Georgia rapper Quando Rondo?
Well, it's a very interesting case. I've been following it for some time now, but it's very representative of things that are going on within the hip hop
Hell
community these
yeah, Dirk
days.
smart as hell. He tried to leave. Hell yeah. What the fuck? Cause Dubai don't fuck with the US at all. The fuck, that nigga would have been straight.
1 foot in the studio, 1 foot in the
He
streets.
not work and them places that
He
he
talked to me a
named, they
little
was
bit
not gonna
about
touch him. He'd have been
retaliation
perfectly fine.
within gang culture, maybe even hip hop culture as well, too, that we can even trace back these events
Facts,
in
Latoya.
particular, kind of in a way, starting from King Von's death in Georgia in 2020, and 2 years later, Quando Rondo's attempted murder, where his cousin was actually killed during this ambush. What is your kind of reaction to just this whole web and trail that has been going on essentially since 2020, even probably prior to that, too?
Well, one of the things that's been popular with hip hop artists is to maintain the same group of friends that they had since they were kids. Maintaining that loyalty, not changing up, and becoming a new person because you have fame. And so, in keeping these alliances, sometimes there's beef that follows from the streets into rap, and like I said, these guys live, day to day, and their alliances also live that same lifestyle.
And, reading through this indictment, there appears to be this really heavy level of planning
Gotta
to
play Federal
allegedly
Nightmares
carry
after
out
this?
this murder. Plane tickets were bought, cars were rented, ski masks and firearms were bought. Talk to me a
All
little
this
bit.
shit was bought, but none of it goes back to Dirk. Like, come on, gang. All this shit that was bought, none of it go back to Dirk. His charge is murder, hire, whatever the shit. Hire and the murder. None of these details come back to Dirk. He didn't buy the plane ticket. He didn't buy the rental car. It's no proof that he paid for the shooting.
About
It
the
don't matter who card
sophistication
it
you may
was.
have
Even if it
noticed
was his
within
wife
the
card, that
planning
shit
and
do
these
not come back to
allegations.
Dirk. What
Well,
the
one of the
hell?
things that you have to, the hurdles, so to say, that you have to get over in this case is just the geographic difficulties going from Chicago to
I'm really
California to
schooling
commit
y'all
this
right now.
offense.
Tap in.
And so there's only a couple ways you can get there. Either you can drive or you can fly. And, obviously the advantage of flying gives you more of a time advantage. You can get there faster, but you also leave an electronic footprint. And that's what it seems like law enforcement was able to pick up on, was the electronic footprints that were left from purchasing the tickets. Now, when you fly, you also have to have transportation on the ground. So you have rental cars. And if you're there for an extended period of time, that also leads to maybe a hotel stay.
As we talk about this level of planning, it also appears there was also this element of not so great planning if you didn't want to be caught. And some of the 5 defendants actually used their real names, their birth dates, and photo IDs to book this travel. And then one of the co-conspirators actually texted another co-conspirator saying, don't book no flights under no names involved with me. What are your what's your reaction
See,
to
that's the
kind of
thing. The
just
shooters might be cooked.
doing this allegedly and using your real name,
The
your real
shooters might be
ID,
cooked,
but also kind
but
of
Dirk not
wanting to
cooked.
keep this on the down low as well too, of not wanting to get caught?
I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I think that when I read over that, I was kind of surprised by that, with how unhidden that was. But I think also it plays to the element of what their motivation was. And it seemed that there was some discussion of payment. And so sometimes individuals are so intrigued by being able to get their hands on whatever this payment is that they overlook small details, and leaving your name on a receipt or on a reservation is one of those things that they missed.
When we see kind of these types of cases, a lot of times, I think sometimes the defendants are allegedly always kind of wanting one specific target. But then there are some cases where someone else is hurt or killed, kind of in this focus of retaliation. What are your thoughts, given that Quando Rondo's cousin was actually killed when the murder was allegedly plotted for him?
You know, I
Yeah,
think
that
it's
bit was
always
definitely
unfortunate
that bit was
that
definitely towards
innocent people
Quando,
get caught
man.
in the line of fire. It's something that we deal
Holy,
with often
that nigga Quando
within street
dodged hella
violence.
bullets.
But
No
I also
cap.
think within the streets, there's also a mentality when there's a retaliation and gang culture that if you get caught riding with someone that I have beef with, then it just kind of it's the rules of the streets. Like you put yourself in that situation, and now you have to
Bruh,
unfortunately
I
reap
hate
the
niggas like
circumstances of
this.
it.
And there's also been rumors circulating online that there might have been an informant or even a snitch within OTF that may have revealed more to the feds. Do you think that's at all possible in this
Yep.
case, that they needed an informant on the inside to kind of give a scoop into kind of how everything was planned out and kind of how everything kind of came to fruition?
Well, I know that there was very detailed information, and it definitely indicates that the investigators did a great job digging up surveillance footage and being able to uncover some of the intimate details. I don't know if there was an informant necessarily, but it seems that
Nah, Quando made the TikTok. Send it. I'm not even gonna lie. You really can't even prove that these shooters was the shooters unless they had their phones and they could have just took a trip to LA. Like, bruh, y'all, bruh, these niggas. I just thought about it. The shooters not even cooked unless they had their phones on them in this exact location at the time of the shooting.
they do have some very personal details in their indictment.
And given if there was possibly an informant, kind of how do they all play a role into this case? Because again, within the culture, a lot of times there is a no snitching policy. But what are your thoughts on whether or not there might have been an informant and kind of how that may have all came into this as well too?
Well, you know, the no snitching thing is very huge in the street and within the hip hop culture. But one thing that within the law enforcement community, when someone is looking at a significant sentence, which I think murder for hire either carries in some sort of way situations, death penalty, and also life in prison. You know, it's every man for himself at that moment. And so the old cliche of the first one to talk gets the best deal normally that weighs very heavily in these cases.
Some of the defendants, in addition to being offered money, were also promised lucrative music opportunities if they carried out this murder. And I know we've kind of been having a discussion about, how rap culture kind of bleeds into gang culture. But
Them
what's your
niggas is
reaction to
already
kind of
OTF
this
gang. Like,
lucrative opportunity given they carry out
how
this
do we
bounty?
tell her?
Well, you know, it's the American.
It's a shot promo. That was already OTF, bro. I never heard of that shit either. What the fuck is this?
And he smiled at me. Said it's gonna be a good one, just wait and see. Jumped out of bed and I ran outside, feeling so ecstatic. It's the best day ever. It's the best day ever. I'm so busy, got nothing to do.
Yeah, I can't take this nigga Quando serious, man. I can't do it. Dirk. Oh, he been made it? I was finna say. My nigga. I was finna say, ain't no way my nigga happy as hell his op going to jail. Ain't no way he happy his ops getting a death penalty. Have he been belting you this much, gang? Like, hell no. If you happy to see your ops go to
American
jail,
dream of
gang,
wanting to be able to create a
they
better
belting you.
opportunity for yourself and your family. And unfortunately, a lot of individuals have, the dream of making it in the rap business, and they're just not given the opportunity. So that is something that is going to be very alluring to a lot of individuals because they not only want to be able to have the rap contract, but also the rap lifestyle. And some people are willing to do whatever it takes to
Yeah, I
get
ain't
that.
gonna lie.
Sometimes when we see these
Yeah,
cases,
I know it's
especially
old
gang
now. I was just
cases
saying,
that
but I
also
was
kind of
say,
double as like hip
holy.
hop cases, YNW Melly, this case with Lil Durk, even YSL, I can't help but notice just how young some of the defendants are and some of the alleged activities that they're being accused of doing. They're so young, in their 20s, probably started maybe when they were teenagers. But what are your thoughts on just how young
Yeah, I'm back at the
some of
crib,
these
Lord.
defendants are when they're kind of coming up, like
I
they
ain't gonna
just
lie,
mentioned,
Jesse. This
wanting this
nigga Dirk
American
not
dream, but
cooked.
then at the same
Or the
time
shooters.
having this kind of tie to the street
Unless they
culture
had their
where
phone on them.
maybe they don't see the actual consequences of what could happen. Either they go to jail or they may end up dead on the street. What are your thoughts on just that whole layer and aspect of it?
Well, I think one of the things that weighs heavily on the influence is the fact that,
It,
a guy that you may have
Dirk
grown up
cooked.
with,
Y'all
seen
think
around the
he cooked?
neighborhood.
I don't.
Now he has this lucrative rap contract and is driving,
Like he's somebody
foreign
lucrative.
cars and living in expensive houses and traveling, all across the country. They almost become larger than life. And so when you have a young individual that maybe hasn't had the best role models in life, what they're able to see this individual achieve is going to be larger than any kind of verbal warning that
What up,
someone can tell
Billy?
them.
I
They're
ain't gonna
going
lie.
to
Even if somebody had a
take their
wire
word as
on,
being,
they gotta have proof
good.
that that shit
If I
true.
can carry out what is being asked of me, then maybe I can live this lifestyle as well. And I think that reality weighs heavier than any consequence that you can think of.
And as
Oh,
someone who is a detective who works with street gangs, kind of what are you hearing
that
from the
nigga
inside
Dirk
that
been
you'd be
dropping
willing to
straight
talk about on
bunk.
camera as far as, maybe just what the motivation is to kind of continue to be a part of this lifestyle?
Well, obviously the what everyone is doing right now across social
Yes,
media
when
as
you go
well
to
as the
jail for
streets
murder
and within
for
the street
hire, you
culture
get a
is
lot
they're
of
kind of
time too.
unpacking this indictment. They're
Even
trying
if
to
you
breaking it
didn't do
down
it,
line by
no,
line,
you don't.
trying to piece things
No, you
together,
don't,
figure out if
Ariane.
there
What
is
are
an
you,
informant.
Ariane?
Also,
What is you talking about? Hell nah, Dirk not my favorite rapper. Man, he better do something. Jit got that bag, he gonna whoop him, bruh. Young boy whoop the feds. Y'all keep talking about the feds like the feds unbeatable. Mine's Young and Ace. Yeah, that's if he get convicted. If he didn't do it, he not getting no time. He getting
figuring
out.
out if this was something that was carried out on behalf of King Von, and just connecting the dots on their from their levels. But I think that what factors into that
Yeah,
is
my
the
seat.
the theory that nobody plans to get caught. The plan is we're going to do it, we're going to get away with it, and we're looking 100 yards down the field instead of seeing what's going on right now. And the factor of getting caught now being named in a federal indictment, that part is not really thought of too heavily because, again, nobody factors in that I am going to get caught for this.
And kind of going back to the Lil Durk aspect of it as well, too, he was, again, a very popular rap artist. He had a lot of popular songs, and a lot of fans did look up to him. But it seems, though, as we don't know at this particular point, but it seems, though, a lot of people may be alleging he's kind of the kingpin in a way of the OTF, and that he is someone who carries out these plots, essentially, kind of running a criminal enterprise. What are your thoughts
Yo,
on
they be
just kind
saying
of how
anything.
people allege these popular rap artists are these kingpins in a way of
They
criminal
say
street
murder for
gangs?
hire and automatically going to
But I think
something
we're
else.
with this case, it's
I ain't
gonna
gonna
be
lie.
very
He the
interesting
first
how it
person with
plays
this
out.
charge I ever
But we're gonna
seen.
really
And
get
second
into
of
the
all,
basics of
he getting the
rap
death
being
penalty if he getting
entertainment
convicted.
or rappers really living what they rap about. And I think there's definitely something that's a hurdle that investigators are going to have to get over with just proving that this little Dirk's role in OTF wasn't merely entertainment, that he actually had a role within the
Told
street
you.
culture of OTF.
And do you see any other hurdles that investigators may come to find when they're kind of going through this case?
Well, anytime
Definitely have
that
evidence.
you're dealing with multiple people with inside, in an indictment, co-conspirators, what's people's roles kind of change, and then there's money as well involved with some of the people that were discussed in this case. So it's also heavily influenced by the street life and culture, gang life and culture. And so what they have today may change, and hopefully on the investigators end, what you see in that indictment would only kind of snowball and grow larger. Maybe they're able to develop more evidence and convert some of these co-conspirators into witnesses for the government.
All right, Detective Eric Barnes, I appreciate so much your insight into this
Evidence
case. Before we
definitely
sign
do
you
sound
off,
like a
is there
Rico,
anything
though.
else you'd like to add about just where the case goes from here?
No, I think from what we see in this indictment, that the investigators did a very solid job investigating this case, and kudos to them.
All right, Detective Eric Barnes, again, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
My nigga,
According to reports, Jones and Houston have a scheduled hearing in Chicago on Monday.
that nigga Lil Durk lawyer gonna throw in them boxing gloves so fast, y'all gonna be like, what the fuck?